Hello, and this is my assignment for search engine optimization. Here we go. The topic that I'm going to make my website, my Wix site, about is concerning nutrition and fitness. I figured I'd do something that I know a little bit about, that I enjoy researching and know a lot about, so why not share that with other people? The difficulty is going to be figuring out how to draw people to that information, and that's where the search engine optimization comes into play. So, what is SEO? It's essentially providing a good website structure along with good content to generate positive rankings with all the major search engines. So you're talking Google, Bing. Google's the biggest, Bing, I believe, is the second, and then, Yahoo. I may have those two mixed up, but I know Google is the most used search engine. And how do you go about creating good search results and get a good ranking? Well, you have to have good keywords to start with. And you also have to have proper labeling. So you need to have the proper keywords in the title, perhaps the meta tags within the content. Something else you need to do is use proper linking. So you want to have the proper text within the anchor tags, so when somebody goes to a link, it says exactly what they want to go to. So they're not clicking on something and then getting something else, kind of like a bait and switch type thing. You need to have the proper linking. And also the proper linking structure needs to be emphasized. These search engines like Google, when they crawl and then index various websites, if the linking structure is not appropriate, if there's dangling pages that aren't linked up with the rest of your site structure, then that could be difficult for the crawler to reach. So you have to make sure your links are properly constructed in a tree-like structure. You can think of it in that way. Another thing is proper use of alt text, and that comes into play, predominantly with images. So when you're using an image tag, you need to have a proper alt text, so when the search engine is crawling your website, the words that you use to describe that picture must be precisely what is in that picture, so the crawler knows exactly what it is, and when people are searching for it, they can search exactly what they want to find, and then boom, your picture, your image, or your link pops up. So it draws the traffic in that way. That being said, you just want to use the alt text for images that are relevant. In other words, you don't want to be using alt text for background images, because that's kind of useless. That's actually Moz, one of the sources I use, and then the Wix, being the other main source, said that using alt text for background images is entirely unnecessary. Things to avoid: spam, that will get your page ranking down. Links to spam, so you don't want to be linking to bad web pages with bad content that is spamming people. Duplicate content, so you want to keep your content on one page. When I say that, I mean that you don't want to have basically the same content in several different spots on different pages within your website. So if for whatever reason that content is relevant and it's, in a paragraph on another page within your website, then just link back to that page that already explains that content, so you're not duplicating it all over the place, because that can bring your rankings down. Keyword stuffing. One of the big things that is not recommended is stuffing your keywords into a web page to where when the user is reading your web page, it comes off as unnatural. If it's coming off as unnatural and not sounding organic, that will get your ranking dropped typically. So you want to use your keywords liberally, but you don't want to use them too many times to where it sounds like you're just doing a promo ad. That's not going to do anybody any good. Another thing I saw, and I kind of understand, but I'm not sure how to express it, and that's using other technologies, using too many scripts to generate content, using Flash to present content. You want to be careful about some of this stuff, because apparently the search engines, when they crawl, they use what they want to be reading is the HTML generated content, and if they have to go into a lot of PHP, or they have to go through a bunch of forms or scripts where they're going to be dealing with programming rather than just dealing with the text that you want them to crawl through, that could be a problem, and you don't want too much of that. I mean, you obviously, when you're creating a website, most people are going to want it dynamic, and they're going to use scripts, but you know how to structure it properly. And the last thing here is organically creating your SEO. In other words, if you grow it from the ground up without using advertising, the better. So word of mouth advertising is the best. So if you're creating the content that people want, you're going to draw people, and they're going to tell other people, and that's how your website is organically going to grow. So steps that I will take to improve my SEO. Well, for one, use proper structure and good design principles. As I talked about in the previous slide, just proper structure, proper linking tree, like I already said, using keywords that are specific. And for me, that's gonna mean using long tail keywords. So not just like one word. In order to draw people to your website, you kind of want to use a niche, because you don't want to use a saturated keyword that's used by a bunch of other websites, or you're just going to take traffic to them and not yourself. So here are some of the keywords. I won't go over them all, but I'm using Moz keyword research software to see where I stand on some of these. And this is just a preliminary list. Obviously, one of the things I'm going to constantly update my keyword list and see what works and what doesn't. But what should I eat to lose weight could be one. What should I eat to gain muscle, and grocery shopping lists, and et cetera, et cetera. I'll use social media to promote my website in a subtle way. Don't want to be, too obnoxious, and continue to do research. That was one of the things I learned from other sources. They pretty much reiterate what the others say. There's a consensus about what works and what doesn't. The only, difference I've found between Wix and Moz is that I think Moz said that meta tags weren't as important to worry about as they once were, and I think Wix did say, I believe they said make use of it, and like I said, there weren't too many large differences. They agree on the one thing they do agree on is constant change and constant learning. So you have to keep cycling through, figuring out what works, constantly learning and updating. And then here's my sources, and that's my presentation. Thank you.